from horrifying cryptids to bizarre animals and creepy unsolved disappearances. Let's uncover the weirdest things ever caught on trail cameras. I want you to take a look at some trail camera footage from Sydney, Australia. It seriously made my blood run cold. Can't see anything? Take another look. A little closer, with the brightness boosted. Now that's the stuff of nightmares. The creepy part is this isn't just a trick of the light either. This camera is motion activated and turned on in the middle of the night when it registered this eerie interloper. The face was only visible for a short period of time before vanishing, and it wasn't seen again. Viewers of the footage were quick to point out the eerie similarity between the structure of the dark, shrouded face and classic depictions of gray aliens, and it's hard to deny. Especially weird is the fact that, assuming this footage isn't fabricated, Australia doesn't really have any wild animals that could fit the bill as looking similar to this thing. I mean, maybe it could be a tree-climbing dingo. I'm grasping at straws here, folks, because I really don't like the possibility that we're genuinely seeing something much more sinister. Either way, I know I'll be having nightmares for the rest of the week. This deer may look a little weird, but the truth is actually super disturbing. This particularly unusual buck was apparently caught on trail camera around Nantucket back in 2013. The bungling sacs on its head may look like water balloons, but those are actually its antlers. Every year, bucks grow their antlers before mating season, and like all bodily growth, this requires blood and protein. Early in the season, the main branches of both of the buck's antlers were seemingly injured at the same time, causing blood to pool down into those bulging sacs. But don't worry, you can shed them and start fresh next year. If only all head injuries could be fixed so easily. A 72-year-old retired English electrician set up a trail cam in his shed after he believed someone was playing a prank on him. He kept finding tools he'd left out on purpose had been mysteriously tidied away by next morning, even though he lived alone. Was some strange helper breaking into his shed and cleaning up? Nope, even stranger. What he actually found was that a resident mouse was responsible for his tidy workbench, inexplicably heaving away his tools back into the toolbox every night. The mouse may have been displaying a kind of nesting behavior, but I like to think it's just Stuart Little's long-lost cousin with a penchant for DIY. On a morning in 2010, a Louisiana man went to check up on his trail camera and made a horrifying discovery. The camera had been ripped off the tree it was attached to, and the ground in front of the tree had been torn up. Then when he checked the contents of the camera, he was greeted with this. That's enough to make a grown man pee his pants. Not that I'd know, obviously. The man uploaded this image to an internet forum, as well as other pictures from the trail camera for reference. Quickly, it spread like wildfire, with many deeming this one of the clearest captures ever of a crawler. A thin, pale entity with big black eyes and claws said to roam the woods at night. But just as quickly, it came under some scrutiny for its authenticity. Digital analysis of the image has found similar compression artifacts that may indicate Photoshop editing, though the results were inconclusive. To this day, this image remains a huge mainstay among believers, who believe it to be the most concrete piece of evidence for the existence of crawlers. All I'm saying is that deer better be long gone, or it might become cryptid chow. If that wasn't creepy enough, imagine walking through the woods at night, getting tailed by this thing. This spine-chilling snap was taken in January 2024 in Aberystwyth, Wales by Sam Walker, who'd been out walking his dog when this horrifying humanoid started to follow him. At first, Sam thought it might be a naked man, but the creature was making rhythmic panting sounds that sounded almost animalistic. After sending the photo in to a local website, Cambrian News, netizens quickly declared this a crawler sighting. Sam told Cambrian News that he had put a police report about this creature, but the police actually stated that no calls had been made about a creepy figure in the woods, so this image could just be a hoax. But many claimed it was just too eerie to dismiss. Or as a commenter on an article discussing the sighting said, "Not sure what the fuss is all about, it's just one of the locals." This video from 2016 was captured in Lancaster County and shows a white-tailed deer buck with two noses. You can see one just poking out of the top of the other. Could there be something in the water making Lancaster game mutate? Well, probably not. Dr. Justin Brown of the Pennsylvania Game Commission thinks the deer simply suffered an injury to its muzzle, exposing the nasal passages. There go my hopes and dreams of super mutant monstrosities giving hunters a run for their money. Can someone call a doctor for Bambi? He's not looking too good. This image of another pretty abnormal white-tailed deer was captured on a trail cam belonging to the Quality Deer Management Association in America. According to their reports, the deer is suffering from a common condition known as deer warts. And no, it's not just a really bad breakout of deer acne. These gross growths are called cutaneous fibromas, and they're tumors that grow on deer's skin. But despite their unappealing appearance, they're little more than irritants unless their location on the body interferes with sight, eating, or breathing. The warts are typically temporary and go away on their own, and are spread between deer by physical contact, like during fights or mating. A punishment for fighting and mating? Man, you can't really win as a deer, huh? In 2023, Corinnia Stanhope had a truly skin-crawling experience after she set up a trail camera in the woods of Powell River in Canada, near the carcass of a deer. She was probably expecting to see some cougars, maybe even a bear, but to her surprise, the carcass drew in two strange people instead. They were both half-naked with long, matted hair, and images from the camera showed them standing over the deer, picking at the flesh, and even raising one of the deer hooves to their mouths. Who were these people? And what were they doing with that poor deer? After Corinnia posted the pictures to Facebook, many theorized that the figures might be real-life witches, or part of some strange cult, on account of their unusual clothing and disheveled appearances. Others thought it may have been some locals, knowing a camera had been set up and playing a prank, as the long black hair looked like it could be a wig. But going as far as to defile a rotting deer carcass and seemingly eat parts of it feels pretty extreme for a prank. Trail cameras are a non-invasive way of capturing images of wildlife, but sometimes they can also capture moments that otherwise would have forever remained a terrifying and deeply tragic mystery. In 2022, the skeletal remains of a woman were discovered in the middle of the woods in Anson County, North Carolina. Who she was and what happened to her might have been unsolvable, if not for a trail camera set up in the trees that captured these unsettling images, which would prove to be the last ever pictures of her alive. The pictures, snapped 6 months before the discovery of her remains, show the woman stumbling through the woods at 1 a.m. and then again at 4 a.m., wearing only underwear and leggings and using a stick to walk. Initially, despite these images, police were unable to identify her, and for over 2 years, the case of the woman in the woods remained cold, until March 2025, when finally, DNA analysis of her remains revealed that the Anson County Jane Doe was 26-year-old Amber Ray Johnston. Amber went missing in August 2021 and was last seen across the country in Arizona. So if it hadn't been for the trail cameras capturing her in North Carolina, it's doubtful she would have been considered as a possible DNA match for the skeletal remains. There is still a lot about the case that needs answers, such as what happened to Amber and what she was doing in the woods that night. But thanks to the trail cameras, Amber's family were finally able to get closure on where their daughter was. The next clip is one of the most disturbing and baffling pieces of footage I've ever laid eyes on, and it comes with an absolutely horrifying backstory. This video was posted to Reddit in April 2025, showing a strange, thin, long-armed creature seemingly covered in hair in the middle of the desert. The Redditor claimed that this video was taken in Beaver County, Utah by a friend who had gone out hunting with their dogs. At one point, the dogs ran off and, strangely, never returned. so the friend chased after them and made a horrifying discovery. The dogs were found ripped apart as if by a wild animal. When they tried to track down what had done this, they caught sight of this mysterious figure through a hunting rifle scope. Some folks dismissed it as just a straggler or homeless person, but the original poster responded that it had been filmed 5 to 10 miles into the mountains, with only one small town nearby and harsh weather conditions, so it seemed very unlikely that a homeless person could have survived out there. The only other explanation was something a little more supernatural, that this was a skinwalker. Skinwalkers originate from Native American legend, describing a person with the supernatural ability to turn into any creature. Could this explain what had mauled the dogs, and why the creature in the video looked half human, half animal? Or is it just footage of some poor lost human in the wilderness, with an elaborate story later dreamed up to prank us web users? I'll let you be the judge. Now here's something that really sent a chill down my spine. This image was captured on a trail camera in West Virginia in 2020. And at first, nothing may seem out of the ordinary until you zoom in and brighten things up a little. Suddenly, an insanely ominous, lurking figure becomes visible, appearing to stand around 7 to 8 feet tall and holding a dead coyote by the neck. The original poster, a Reddit user by the name of Adjacent Gunman, claimed that no one except his family ever ventured onto this property, and that there hadn't been bear sightings in the area in over 10 years, making it very unlikely that this was just a hunter or animal. From there, explanations for what this creepy predatory creature could be fall into the supernatural. Could this be Bigfoot finally caught on camera, a skinwalker, or something else? Even if it's just a regular old human, the question of what they were doing, lurking there in the dark, and just what they did to that unfortunate coyote, well, perhaps those questions are best left unanswered. In the meantime, OP had better keep his doors locked. With their little burglar eye mask markings, many people believe raccoons are just nature's thieves, but they're also surprisingly smart, as proven in this trail camera image. Reddit user Stephanator117 claims that about 6 years ago, she set her deer feeder high off the ground so that other animals couldn't get to it. Well, she thought that this would save food for the deer, but these pesky raccoons found a way to work together, climbing on top of each other like a circus act in order to reach the food above. I knew they looked like little bandits for a reason. There's something so beautiful about trail cameras and how they capture wildlife in their natural habitats. Wait. What the heck is that? Alright guys, I apologize in advance for what I'm about to tell you. In a candid display of beauty of nature, this trail camera on Alaska's Prince of Wales Island captured a bear merrily trundling along with a 6-foot-long tapeworm hanging out of its butt. Tapeworms are long parasitic worms that live in intestines and can be passed on by eating other infected organisms, commonly raw fish. As a result, the sight of a bear trailing several feet of tapeworm isn't uncommon, but it is insanely friggin' gross. Anyone else want to just step on the end of it to pull it out? Take a look at this uncanny footage. Taken in California near the Tool River, a trail camera caught a strange glowing orb floating around. It happened once in an empty field, then again amongst a herd of deer. Ordinarily, these sort of eerie occurrences are chalked up to nothing more than lens flare, or an insect on the lens. But check this out. The one of the deer actually appeared to attempt to kick it, seemingly proving that they could see it too. What's more, the man who took the video, Dennis Pine, said that after the object flew by for the 3rd time, the camera strangely went down for the rest of the night, suggesting that there actually was something floating in the air. Could it have been something simple like a firefly whose arrival was just loaded with a series of weird coincidences? Or were those deer visited by something more sinister, whose true intentions were deemed harmful enough to trigger an attack? Rutting season happens every year, and it causes deer to become aggressive, territorial, and, well, a little frisky. In this illicit trail cam footage, one buck realized his nighttime lover wasn't quite as she seemed. Yeah, I gotta suck realizing the love of your life was just a plastic decoy deer all along. Still, better than no love at all, I guess. And in a similar situation, this deer's plastic partner's head just wasn't in it.
Huh?
Man, look on that deer's face. Don't worry, man, happens to the best of us. These deer decoys are used by hunters to lure deer within weapon range, which might just have to be the most humiliating way to go. Not only have you been set up, but the last horizontal tango of your life was a fake. What would you do if one day you checked your trail camera and saw this? Well, this was the reality for the Evansville Police Department in Wyoming back in 2023, who'd initially set up the trail cameras to check for mountain lions. They captured images of local wildlife like deer, birds, and this unrecognizable monstrous creature. Though this creepy critter definitely freaked out a lot of people, others noted the remarkably human clothing and the monster's affinity for zip sweaters. Yeah, sure enough, it was soon revealed that this wasn't some otherworldly creature at night, but the chief of police, Mike Thompson, who fished his Halloween mask out of storage to get a head start on the friendly scare competition between the department and the nearby town of Barnum. What a relief. For a second there, I thought my ex-girlfriend had ended up in Wyoming. West Virginia has the Mothman, New Jersey has the Jersey Devil, and Elkhorn, Wisconsin has the Beast of Bray Road. Sightings of this elusive cryptid have occurred since 1936, and it's been described as an enormous bipedal wolf-type creature with glowing eyes, reportedly weighing as much as 700 pounds. The beast has been the subject of multiple books and documentaries, and even a horror movie. But in 2018, a man may have captured one of the clearest images of it to date. Danny Morgan submitted this photo into the website Wisconsin Frights of a creature standing on two legs. Could it be? The snap received mixed reactions, with some beastly believers thinking it was real, and other believers dismissing it as a large dog stood on its hind legs. It's up for debate whether this actually is the infamous Beast of Bray Road, but if there's even a chance it is, yeah, I know you'll never catch me driving that road alone at night. Don't blink, or you might just miss this next shot. In January 2020, at the end of deer mating season, this 8-point buck was captured shaking its head so fast that both of its antlers were shed simultaneously. It happened so fast, even the deer was freaked out, as the antlers clattered to the ground. The video was captured in Northfield, Vermont by Ann Savory, who uses trail cams to keep tabs on the wildlife in her local area. Not believing what she saw, Ann claimed she went out and found both antlers as proof of the event. And before you start worrying that this hurt the deer actually shed their antlers every year. At the end of mating season, a buck's testosterone drops, which weakens the connection between the antler and the skull and causes the antlers to fall off. Antlers, after all, are largely a way for bucks to show off how tough and virile they are to female deer, like the equivalent of a guy buying a flashy car every year to impress women. In 2024, a Reddit user posted this image of his trail cam showing a mysterious object hovering in the middle of the woods. It looked unlike anything in nature, a long rod with strange pulsing bumps along it. But this isn't the only time this mysterious creature has been captured on camera. Dozens of similar images have been posted online, all showing the same thing, this strange alien-looking artifact. So what is it? Well, it actually has a name: air rods, also sometimes called skyfish. One theory about air rods is that they're a type of cryptid that moves through the air like a sea slug that can only be caught on camera. Others believe that the air rod may be some sort of alien artifact like a spacecraft, or interdimensional entities passing briefly into our world. However, unfortunately for our believers out there is actually a pretty mundane explanation for air rods. They're most likely just insects. The strange shape is the result of an optical phenomenon that occurs when fast-moving insects or small animals are caught on camera, especially in low-light conditions where each image frame requires a longer exposure. This leads to multiple positions of the moving insect captured in a single frame. The result is an image where the background is the same, but the insect has severe motion blur applied. making the creature appear as an elongated rod because it moves too quickly for each individual frame to capture its static pose. So unfortunately, this isn't some exotic new species of airborne sea slug, but is a pretty cool optical illusion. Some of the creatures caught on trail camera are totally creepy, but others are kind of adorable, like the Fresno night crawlers. This infamous cryptid is a mainstay of Californian folklore, and whereas its paranormal peers are outfitted with fangs and piercing blue eyes, the Fresno night crawler just looks like a walking pair of pants. Aw. The first sighting of this spook occurred in Fresno, California in the early 2000s, when a man was awoken by the sound of his dogs barking. On his home surveillance camera, he saw two strange creatures striding across his yard. This video has since become a cornerstone of the Fresno Nightcrawler mythology, especially since, despite posted theories of puppetry and video editing, the footage hasn't been definitively debunked or confessed to be a fake. Then in 2011, more Fresno Nightcrawlers were caught on security camera in Yosemite National Park. I don't know, I kinda like the little fellas, so I wouldn't want them to show up at my front door. So puppets, CGI, MC Hammer, pants-wearing pranksters, or legitimate creatures of mystery, you be the judge. In 2013, along the mountain ranges of Southwest Virginia, trail camera user Roger Williams caught a photo of something he couldn't believe. A large, hulking black mass with bare arms and legs, almost humanoid in appearance. Once it reached the internet, it was met with masses of Bigfoot and Sasquatch fans claiming the beast was a legendary monster. But on closer inspection, it doesn't seem half as likely when compared to this image of a mangy bear. Mange is a disease in mammals caused by parasitic bites, characterized by severe itching and hair loss. It's a condition that can make dog paws look like monster feet, and most likely in this case, bears look like Bigfoot. But other folks have captured more compelling supposed shots of the cryptid on trail camera. Back in 2007, a hunter called Rick Jacobs caught sight of a strange creature on his trail cam in Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania. With its strange, hulking gait, hairy coat, and ape-like ability to seem to walk on two legs, many people believed this had to be a juvenile Sasquatch, but others dismissed it as a mangy bear again. Not quite sure about this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You may have heard of Bigfoot, but have you heard of his Australian equivalent, the Yowie? This elusive ape-like creature is said to roam the outback, and in 2016, someone claimed to have caught it on trail camera. The individual who captured the footage did so by putting an apple on a boulder in the rainforest in Queensland, then also set up a trail camera to see if any creatures took the bait. Sure enough, in footage uploaded to YouTube, a strange hulking figure appears with two glowing eyes. The uploader claims this is a Yowie, but this could definitely be some editing trickery if you ask me. Especially since the angle of Yowie's face doesn't really appear to change as it moves, and at some point it just looks like two eyes are actually just a single reflected light source, doubled by the angle that it's hitting the camera's lens at. And what do you think? Let me know down below. Do you think of moose as terrifying animals? No? Okay, how about now? Although it looks like this demonic moose just headbutted its way out of hell, the truth is that he's just growing into his antlers. And the strange draping you see hanging off of the bloody antlers is called velvet, a soft skin that coats the antlers that moose shed as they gain testosterone during mating season. Eventually, the structure beneath hardens to bone, at which point the velvet sheds off like dead skin. And because it's filled with blood vessels, the moose usually looks like something out of a horror film. But despite the blood, it isn't really that painful at all. At most, it's just itchy. So animals with antlers will usually just scratch against trees to get it off. Tell me again that nature isn't metal AF. Here's a question. What haunts the woods at night, appears bright white, and has been caught on camera? Now, do you think it was a ghost? Well, guess again. It's actually this incredibly rare albino deer buck. Captured back in 2011, the amazing color of the deer's coat is caused by a recessive gene that prevents the production of melanin. Without it, there's little or no natural pigment in the skin or hair, leaving it bright white. It's a rare occurrence, with research showing that there's about 1 in 30,000 chance of an albino fawn being born. Suffice to say, this trail cam caught one very lucky shot. Taken in 2014, this image shows what used to be 2 elk that clearly went head-to-head at one point. It seems that during their tussle, their horns became locked together, resulting in a complete stalemate until one of them died, most likely of starvation. Elk rutting season usually kicks off in September, which is when their testosterone peaks and they become aggressive. This trail footage dated in January, meaning that they may have been locked together for over 5 months. Damn. In December 2018, a husky named Coda ran away from her family's home in Manitoba, Canada. After several days, she finally reappeared, but it turned out she wasn't alone in her little adventure. The family's neighbor kept game cams around the area. When he checked them, he found multiple triggered shots of the missing husky hanging around, sleeping, and being affectionate with a wild buck. It's the most unlikely of friendships, but the timestamps indicate the two stayed together for over 12 hours. I wonder if their pups will have antlers. Ghosts definitely aren't real, right? Because if they're not, then how do you explain this creepy scene? Captured less than 3 minutes apart, these images seem to show a figure of a robed individual kneeling over in the midst of some unknown forest, and then standing a little bit further back, staring straight at the camera. These images were captured in 2012 in the middle of the woods, 5 miles from the nearest house and 10 miles from the nearest town. So it seems unlikely that a person would have naturally stumbled across this trail cam, which has led some to speculate that we might be looking at a ghost or a witch. The fact the figure is kneeling suggests that maybe they're praying, perhaps as part of a cult. But who worships a deity in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night? Satanists, cultists, BTS fans? Let me know who you think they're worshiping in the comments. At first glance, this doe looks like she's going through a pretty tough pregnancy. But on closer inspection, it's clear to see that that ain't no baby bump. Just like humans, deer can't always escape medical complications. And this looks like it could be a giant tumor, or maybe a hernia gone horribly wrong. If it's the latter, it could have been caused by trauma to its midsection, like being hit by a car or even a recent birth. Forget the deer, now I feel traumatized. Now here's a pretty incredible crime scene that you have to see to believe. There's a raccoon and a coyote, one up the tree, one at the bottom, both of which were found dead at the scene. But can you figure out what happened here? Though I'm no crime detective, it would appear that the coyote chased the raccoon up the tree and then got its paw stuck. It gnawed and clawed against the trunk, as you can see those markings, but it was unable to get itself free. And without any means of escape, both animals died, leaving a scene that looks like some kind of Greek tragedy. Now that is what you call a draw. When I say antlers, you probably picture something like this or this. But check out these unusual antlers caught on trail camera, seemingly growing sideways out of the deer's ears. Since antlers are grown and shed every year, antler abnormalities are pretty typical, with the most common reason being injury. If an antler gets scruffed during a fight, it might grow back deformed. Our sideways antlered deer likely headbutted something a little too hard too early in the softer part of its horn's development, causing them to break, then reharden incorrectly. And in an even more bizarre twist, researchers have found that when a deer's back leg is severely injured, his opposite side antler grows abnormally. They're not entirely sure why, but some theorize it may be because the deer's nervous system crosses over in the body before reaching the head. So damage to the nerves of a rear limb sends signals through the nervous system that interfere with growth signals for the antler on the opposite side. Another reason for antler oddities is genetics. From May 2022 to January 2024, a wildlife blogger, Chris Jackson, repeatedly spotted a deer with super strange antlers on his trail camera. He nicknamed it Medusa for its bizarre twisting antlers, but then the antlers randomly crumbled away and left 2 short stumps.
Disappointed!
While deer drop their antlers every year, this deer was losing his antlers way before the yearly shed, which is extremely unusual. Now, it was never conclusively figured out why this deer's antlers were so out of whack, but a leading theory is that the deer had a condition called cryptorchidism, which essentially results in abnormal testosterone production in bucks. This means that cryptorchid bucks can grow crazy antlers that are also very brittle, so they can break easily, explaining why the antlers crumbled away at irregular times. The more you know. But sometimes antler abnormalities are caused on purpose. Check out the ridiculous racks on these deer. You may think this is AI, but it's real. Unlike other antlers, these spanning spines didn't occur all naturally. They've been specifically bred on deer farms to look like this, because hunters will pay a pretty price to shoot and mount a set of antlers like that. Those hunters sound like a bunch of Gastons to me.
I use antlers in all of my decorating.
As Julie Andrews once famously said,
Doe, a deer, a female deer.
but what about when that female deer grows antlers and a male appendage? This extremely rare occurrence was captured on trail camera by hunter Curtis Russell in Missouri, but at the time he didn't realize it was a doe. In 2015, he ultimately caught and shot that same deer, who was sporting a big set of antlers, and when dressing it, Curtis made a startling discovery. The deer was a female. See, antlered does are extremely rare, with around 1 in 10,000 growing racks, and are a result of an unusually high level of testosterone. Even rarer than that is a doe with antlers this size, as most of the time the testosterone level is only high enough to produce very small antlers. So while this may just look like a regular deer to most people, it's actually a pretty incredible feat of nature. This skunk's friends definitely dared him to walk into this wolf enclosure in Minnesota. Immediately, a wolf comes up to investigate the intruder and learns the hard way that if you mess with a skunk, you get the stink. By the timestamp, you can see that even 4 minutes after the skunking, the wolf is still rolling around trying to get the stench off its coat. Now, unfortunately, this video won't be getting uploaded to YouTube entitled "Skunk Pwns Wolf" anytime soon, because later that night, the skunk was unfortunately eaten by some other wolves. But at least it went down fighting, even if it was a funky smelling fight. Okay, just what the heck is going on with this trail cam pic? I'm equally baffled and creeped out. Well, in this 2012 series called Following the Deer by photographer William Harper, his trail cam photos have circulated around the internet, claiming to capture odd occurrences in the Skokie Lagoons, a mythical-sounding nature reserve in Chicago. Like this older gentleman who seems really happy talking to a deer in the dead of night, or this young, seemingly lost girl standing between two deer, including one where she appears milliseconds away from getting hit by a charging buck. Unfortunately, though, despite what internet forums initially claimed, these trail cam captures are really the product of a lot of artistic license, and a heaping portion of Photoshop. Kinda disappointed, but kinda relieved. You're about to see one of the most hilariously confused reactions I've seen on camera. Check out what happened when this possum was attacked by a coyote and wound up playing dead. See, possums can pretty convincingly play dead, but it's actually not something they choose to do. Essentially, when a possum becomes extremely frightened, its body may seize up and flop dead to the ground in a comatose-like state. And even more than that, this reaction triggers their anal glands to release a secretion that apparently smells like a decaying corpse. It's basically the equivalent of fainting and pooping yourself every time you watch a horror movie. So it is beneficial when I do that after all. Now who's the pathetic coward now, Mom? In 2016, Kansas police were contacted about a potential mountain lion roaming a public park, so they set up trail cameras in the area to monitor the animal activity. But when they didn't find any mountain lions, they did find something a little weirder. Either some local troublemakers decided to put on a little show for the trail cameras, or these cameras intruded on a furry midnight meetup. I don't want to think what happened after this picture was taken. In reality, this was definitely just some residents having fun, dressing up like werewolves and gorillas, plus a random old woman holding a bow and arrow. But I'd have paid money to be in the room when the cops found their mountain lion. Now check out this trail camera that captured this coyote. He just wanted to enjoy his meal in peace, until he was accosted by some neighborhood watch raccoons. The poor coyote even tries to get his food to take away, but these raccoons are having none of it. And I thought coyotes were the real threat. Back in 2014, self-taught photographer Stevie set up a trail cam outside his home in Wisconsin. He was hoping to capture and admire the local wildlife, but he wasn't expecting to capture this legendary appearance of a Sasquatch lumbering around outside his house. But before all the cryptozoologists take to the comments, let's take a more logical look at this photo. This two-legged shaggy figure also looks like someone dressed up in a ghillie suit. These are full-coverage camouflage outfits designed to help wearers blend seamlessly into foliage. And while they can help hunters merge into the background, they also can be used in hilarious pranks like this. So, seeing as this supposed Sasquatch sighting is probably a prank, it looks like the ever-elusive Bigfoot has yet to be seen. Check out this tight squeeze. The bear, affectionately known as B33, was captured on trail camera by a wildlife photographer wriggling out of a crawl space under an abandoned house in California. Considering B33 is a chonker at 500 pounds and the crawl space measures 14 by 14 inches, it's extremely impressive that he manages to get that enormous booty through such a tight space. But the wildlife photographer, 2G Sealed, who has been tracking local bear activity for years, claimed this abandoned house is something of a bear hotspot. A bear B&B, you could say. So B33 is not the first to have dozed off in this den. Let's hope no campers also decide to rest here for the night, or it might be a real-life Goldilocks situation. At first glance, this heart-stopping trail cam image looks like a tragedy waiting to happen, but thankfully on closer inspection of the timestamp, you can tell this is actually a composite image, showing the same track at two different times of day. The image was taken on Brush Road just off California State Highway 17. Apparently in 2013, the Brush Road Company was attempting to verify reported sightings of a pair of mountain lions in the area. They decided to publish the composite to warn runners of the danger around the area. Seeing as it's technically the same path, it's just about honest enough to be a valid warning. Either way, the jogger here gets to run another day, for now. Some call them mountain lions, but I just call them oversized cats. I mean, just look at this little guy as he plays on the swing. Who wouldn't fall in love with that little face? Oh, never mind. Have you ever seen a drunk bear? Well, you have now. This trail cam footage was taken in British Columbia, Canada, and shows a young bear staggering through the woods like my dad after a few too many Bud Lights. But this bear didn't just get his buzz from beer. In fact, the videographer John theorized that it likely ingested some fermented fruit, which produces ethanol. Hopefully, this hangover won't be too bad tomorrow. Now take a look at this chilling video from 2006. One night, two young men were venturing off-trail through the woods in Catalonia, Spain, camera in hand, when they stumbled across an eerie creature crouched before a tree. Did anyone's heart drop out of their butts watching that? Because, same. This footage was actually one of YouTube's first viral videos, and spread not only through niche cryptid circles, but even reached the mainstream media. People believed that the men had truly encountered some sort of fallen angel demon, with its wings visibly torn off. while out in the woods. But as it turns out, this was actually a marketing campaign for none other than Diesel. Yeah, the clothing brand Diesel. Man, they just don't advertise clothes like that these days. And the creepy creature? Nothing more than prosthetics. Now, I don't know what fallen angels have to do with genes, but it was extremely effective and proves that even from the dawn of the internet, people were lying online. If you want to watch some more creepy critters caught on camera, check out this video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.